Your Partner in Success Radio is a free business podcast with host Denise Griffitts. It's all about great stories, conversation, and context to help you move your business and life forward with actionable tips and advice from her guest experts. To listen and subscribe, just find us on iTunes, Google Play, or wherever you consume your podcasts.
Good morning and welcome to Your Partner in Success Radio. And today, our topic is the AI-driven leader harnessing AI to make smarter, faster decisions with Geoff Woods. And this episode is brought to you by Frederick J. Fisher. He is an attorney, a consultant, and a true pioneer in liability insurance with more than 50 years of experience. Fred has a gift for making complex topics crystal clear, helping professionals, educators, and organizations spot risks, lots of them, before they turn into costly mistakes. And when the fine print matters, he's the one you want in your corner. You can connect with Fred Fisher on LinkedIn or learn more at his website, fishercg.com. And today's guest is a leader who has mastered the art of scaling big and fast. Geoff Woods is the #1 best-selling author of The AI-Driven Leader. I have it on my desk. He is the host of AI-Driven Leader podcast and the founder of the AI Leadership Collective. And that's where top executives go to learn to harness AI for better business and better lives. And he has taken companies from millions to billions with a B, quite literally. As Chief Growth Officer at Jindal Steel and Power, Jindal, I think it is, Jindal, Gindal, Steel and Power, Geoff helped skyrocket its market cap from 750 million to over 12 billion in just 4 years. And before that, he co-founded the company behind The One Thing, advising organizations up to 600 billion in revenue. It's impressive. And his mission to show leaders how AI can sharpen strategy, empower people, and create unstoppable growth. Geoff, welcome to the show. I'm excited to talk with you about leadership in the age of AI. We hear so much about it. People love it or they're terrified of it. There doesn't seem to be much in between. And I know you have some powerful insights to bring to the table. So welcome.
And thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here, Denise.
Listen, before we jump in, would you share a bit about your journey and the impact that you're working to make in the world?
Sure. We actually have to go back to my senior year of college. I was doing an internship, and I remember I sat down with the CEO and I asked him what job he thought I should get after school. And he leaned in and he said to me, "Geoff, you're asking the wrong question." Denise, this stopped me dead in my tracks. I'm like, what other question should I be asking? And he leaned in and said, "You really should be asking, what are the skills I can master that are so valuable, they'll serve me no matter where I go? Then go find jobs that'll help you build those skills." This is some of the best career advice I've ever been given. It was also the first time in my life I was introduced to the power of asking the right questions, which I had no idea at the time would become one of my career defining skills. Based on his recommendation, I got into sales, sold a lot of copiers, then got into medical device sales. But every day I was waking up feeling unfulfilled. Like I knew I was meant for more. Growth is my core value. Things were good financially, but just I didn't feel like my job was a reflection of who I was or who I wanted to become. And that led into the world of entrepreneurship. As you mentioned in the intro, I partnered up with the co-authors of the book, The One Thing. Gary Keller started Keller Williams, largest real estate company in the world, and his co-author, Jay. My job was to be the face of the brand and to scale the company. And in that job, I had to go deep in mastering the art and science of asking the right questions. Because a lot of what I was doing was stepping into boardrooms of some of the largest companies in the world, facilitating offsites, taking them from 20 plus pages of things they thought they needed to do over the next year. And by asking the right questions and getting them to focus on what truly mattered, could narrow the focus of an entire enterprise down to a single page. This became a true superpower of mine. And in 2022, I sold my stake in the business, went in-house with a client, which was Naveen Jindal, who's the chairman of Jindal Steel out of India. And my job was just to drive growth. And my realization was Driving growth really is not that hard. It's a combination of doing what's timeless and what's timely. What's timeless is aligning strategy, planning, and execution with the people that you have. But it is a timeless challenge because priorities are constantly shifting. There's a lack of clarity, a lack of alignment. And then I had this realization one day, Denise. I was going, okay, we have a clear strategy to win. We have a focused business plan we're staying focused on. But then I realized we have all these people that we have hired, 100,000 people around the world. We hired them to achieve our goal. But goals are constantly changing, but job descriptions are not. And I realized, oh my gosh, there is all this wasted effort that is happening. This is timeless. How might we solve that? And this is what's timely, which is technology and transformation. It was December of 2022 when I saw AI for the first time. And when I saw it, I saw the next skill. Like, trust me, there was every part of me that thought, this is cool, but I'm busy. I'll get to it later. Or you know what? I'll delegate this to the IT team, or I'll hire a consultant from the outside to figure it out for us. But then that college mentor was in my head. Focus on mastering the skills that are so valuable. They'll serve you no matter where you go. Denise, I just made a commitment. I said, I'm going to use this once a day.
That was brilliant of him. And
Yeah.
you to take his advice and run with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And as I started to use it, there was a problem though. I felt like it was wasting my time. And I realized it was because I was asking myself the wrong questions. I was asking, how do I use this to help me write a better email? Which is how a lot of leaders are still using it today. And by the way, I give them double high fives because they're at least using the technology. But then I thought, okay, where have I been able to bring the most value in my career? And it was always asking leaders the right questions to unlock new levels of growth. And then I thought, well, what if instead of me asking AI questions, I could turn the tables and get AI to ask me the right questions? And this was when I discovered the idea of you being the thought leader and AI being your thought partner. That changed the game for me, Denise.
Well, listen, reading your book, I have been using AI and I love it, but I'm an intensely curious person and I don't like to be told what to do ever.
Mm,
I fight with my nav system. She says go left, and I say, you're not the boss of me. And I was finding that chat and perplexity would just give me facts, but they weren't challenging me to do anything. So I would start asking questions. And then I
mm.
would say, ask me questions. Who am I? What am I trying to do here? What do you see from what I'm giving you? That opened up a whole new world for me.
Oh, yeah. And I experienced the same thing. And I'll always remember it was every quarter I was flying to India. I was at the chairman's house and I started showing him how I was using this for strategy, not for tactics, but for strategy, showing him how I was like feeding it our strategic plan and having it act as an aggressive growth minded board member that would ask questions to really bulletproof the sufficiency of the plan and call out the top area it was insufficient and how we could plug those holes in the next 90 days. And he looks at me, he's like, this is incredible. And I go, yeah, it's the future. And he goes, oh, I agree. And I said, we should drive it through the whole company. He goes, I agree. And I said, I think this is so important. You should own this as chairman of the board. And he looks at me and he goes, I disagree. How about you do it?
Oh,
One problem, I know nothing about AI. I'm not a technical person. I don't have a technical bone in my body. But something I learned from my old business partner is that anytime you're hitting a ceiling of achievement, you are just missing a person. I was asking,
oh, say that again.
anytime you're hitting a ceiling of achievement, you're just missing a person.
Okay, keep going.
I was asking, I felt doubt when he said, why don't you lead this for the company? Because I was asking, how do I drive this across 100,000 people? And I didn't know that answer. But then I thought, maybe I'm asking the wrong question. What if it's not how? What if it's who? Who am I missing? That if I could get into relationship with could enable me to drive this through the company. That led to different answers. The answer was partner with Google. So I ended up partnering.
Really?
Yeah, I partnered with Google. I started living in their headquarters in Delhi when I was out there every quarter. And I learned a lot about how these models work and how do you identify the right use cases and how do you tune it in a way that it actually delivers value for the organization. But then I had this huge aha moment, which is leaders are making AI a solution looking for a problem. AI
Okay.
adoption is not the goal of the company, but the leaders are saying, we got to adopt AI. Why?
Right. And I was just going to say that. Why? What's your end result? Where are you going with this? What's going on? Have you thought this out?
Bingo. Most have not still. And this is when I realized it is not technology first, strategy second. It's strategy first, technology second. What's our strategy? How are we going to win and create a competitive advantage in the marketplace? Based on that, what's our business plan that we got to execute this year in order to be in alignment? Then people, how do we align our people with the plan? Then how do we harness technology to enable our people to execute our plan in alignment with our strategy so we win in the market? It was that methodology that drove that played a big role in driving the market cap growth of Jindal from 750 million to 12 billion.
That's amazing. And I know you know this, but I've taught chat in particular. I love Perplexity, but I use chat for a lot of different things. And I've taught chat to be a little bit friendlier and to kind of
Mm,
speak to me like I'm an idiot every once in a while, because
mm,
I am. And I was using it. I was having the worst problem with a piece of code that was not going to work on this website, no matter what I did. And finally, I call him Uncle Chat. He was getting irritated with me. I was getting irritated with him. And I finally just said, all right, go to bed. You're ticking me off. Go to bed. I'll talk to you tomorrow. This is the God's honest truth. I screenshotted it. I understand, Denise, and I agree with you. That's the best advice I've had all day. And he hung up on me. That was it. He left.
That's awesome.
Well, okay, Uncle Chat. Thanks. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah. Um, that that whole experience, Denise, if we go back to me being in sales and feeling like I was destined for more, it came back full center. This is when I just saw a career defining opportunity because I realized, oh my gosh, every leader knows AI is the future, but they don't know where to start and they all think they're falling
Right.
behind. And while I don't consider myself to be a technical person, I do consider myself to be a decent communicator. And I thought that if I really went all in on this, I could create a new category of leader, which is an AI driven leader that harnesses the technology to build better businesses and better lives. How do we harness this while keeping our humanity at the center so that this becomes a great enhancement and not a great replacement? And that's what led to writing the AI driven leader, which is now number one in the world for its category, and building a company called AI Leadership, which shows executives how do you harness this in a way that not only drives enterprise value and builds a moat around your business, but how do you use this in a way that turns your people into superhumans along the way?
It really does. When I started playing, and I am a techie person, I'm a nerd in stilettos, and anything techie has my attention. I build websites when I'm standing over the stove building, making a gumbo. I'm building it in my head. It's just the way my brain works. So when I discovered, and AI has been around for a long time, we just didn't know it. But now that we all know it, people are diving in, but they need to understand it. And that's why you're here. I mean, we're all leaders, right? We're all salespeople. We're all leaders. It doesn't matter what level you're at or you think you are. You need advice and you need to learn things. And your book is excellent for that. And we'll
Mm.
get into the book in just a little bit. It's fascinating. I was telling you in the virtual green room, one of my favorite parts of the book is at the end of every chapter. It says, here's the 20% from this chapter. I went, oh, that's smart. Because now it's all defined. And if we missed it in the chapter, it's right there. So I thought that was brilliant.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So anyway, keep on talking. In your experience, what are some examples where AI has acted as a valuable collaborator for you in decision making or innovation? I think you gave us one or two, but
Oh man.
keep talking about that. That's
So
fascinating.
I'll tell a real use case of another CEO first. Then I'll tell you some of my crazy use cases. I was in front of a room of CEOs And I asked a question, which was, what are the biggest problems that you are facing in your business that if we could solve them right now, it would unlock a new level of growth? The question itself is strategic, Denise. For a guy who wrote a book about AI, I really don't care about AI. Because again, AI adoption is not our goal. Building better businesses and better lives is. So if we're going to even talk about I want to make sure we are focusing it on a 20% opportunity that will unlock 80% of the value. I'm not interested in 80+% of the use cases because they drive the minority of the value. They are distractions. I go straight to the heart of what's going to move the needle in terms of better businesses or better lives. One CEO turns and looks at me and says, I've got a huge problem. I run a manufacturing company here in the US. I leased all this capital equipment from a company in Japan, but things have really started to shift in the market. The debt structure is killing us, and we're going to go bankrupt if it doesn't get restructured. I look at him and go, oh my gosh, what have you done? And he says, I feel like we've tried everything. And he lists off 5 strategies he's deployed in vivid detail and says, none of this has worked because the company that holds the debt in Japan is publicly traded. And the board is refusing to restructure the debt because they think they will lose face in Japanese society.
Oh,
And then he goes, I have no next steps. We're probably going out of business. Can AI help? My answer is I don't know. Anytime I approach a use case, I really have more curiosity than an expectation. Will it work? Don't know. Let's find out. Now, I have a very specific framework for prompt engineering. For those of you listening to this, if you only take one thing from this episode, what I'm about to share with you is the single most important thing I will tell you. It's called CRIT. CRIT. Context, role, interview, task. Every prompt I write adheres to this framework, and this framework will literally apply and work for any situation that you could use. Context. You give AI lots of context. This is not Google. You don't ask a short question. You feed it detail about your situation. That's context. Role. Role is where you tell AI the kind of expert you want it to behave as, because you can tap into expertise of the world. So if you're articulate about who you want it to be, it will simulate that person and harness that expertise for your advantage. So context, role, then interview. This is where I turn the tables and say, interview me. Ask me one question at a time, up to 3 questions to gain deeper context, because we as humans are terrible at proactively giving sufficient context. So let's not try to change us. Let's just harness AI to pull it out of our head in the form of an interview. So context, role, interview, and then finally task. What do you want AI to do with all the context that it now has? Here was the exact prompt that I wrote for this CEO. Context. I'm a manufacturing CEO. I leased all this capital equipment from a company in Japan. Things have shifted in the market. The debt's killing us. We're going to go bankrupt if we don't get it restructured. I feel like we've tried everything. And then, Denise, I listed off all 5 strategies he had explained. None of it has worked because this is a public company in Japan and the board is refusing to restructure the debt because they think they'll lose face in Japanese society. I have no next steps, and I think we're going out of business. Role. Your role is to act as an investment banker with deep expertise in restructuring debt. Interview me. Ask me one question at a time, up to 3 questions to gain deeper context. Then your task is to identify and generate 5 non-obvious strategies I could deploy to get the board to restructure the debt. For those of you listening to this, you're probably going, holy smokes, I didn't know you could talk to AI this way.
and I just went silent because I blanked out. I thought that is so smart.
People have been thinking that this is Google. That's putting a ceiling of achievement over your achievement. This is a thought partner. So here's what happened. Denise, you read a lot of books. How many books do you think you've read in your life?
Oh, I couldn't even begin to count. I've been reading since I was 3,
Yes.
hundreds of thousands, and that's no
Great.
joke.
Excellent. What percent, think of every single word on every single page, what percent of that collective knowledge can you recall and apply right now?
Very little.
That's most
Very
of it.
little. You can't, because we can't keep it all in our
We
head.
can't. But here's where, when you look at AI, these models have been trained on about 500 million books worth of data so far. It can recall 100% of it in under a second. So when you engage AI as a thought partner in this situation, it literally combed through 500 million books worth of data to craft a persona of an investment banker with deep expertise in restructuring debt, who also knew 2,000 years of Japanese culture and history. It did that in under a second and asked, do you have any relationships with any other influential executives in Japan that this board would respect? I turned and,
Oh,
uh-huh. I turned and looked at the CEO and he goes, yes. I would have never asked that question. Oh my gosh, I actually do. Then it asked two more questions just like that. And it came back and said, based on that, here's your 5 non-obvious strategies. Number 1 on the list, the Saving Face Consortium. It said, you have enough relationships with all the right people in Japan. Approach them to acquire your debt. Give them really favorable terms. Your debt gets restructured. Your board will save face. Denise, I turn and look at him. He's actually holding back tears.
I'm actually clutching my stomach, because that is so powerful. And you
Mm-hmm.
going back to it, we don't know what to ask. We don't ask questions.
Mm.
We don't know what to ask.
He looks at the people in the room and very vulnerably admits, I have not slept in 90 days. I've literally been making peace with the fact that we are going out of business, but in less than 10 minutes, and he points to the board, he goes, I got hope. 2 months later, my phone rings and it's a text from him. It says, the ball is moving. I actually think this is going to get done.
Oh my.
What if your ability to think strategically was the difference between growing your business or going out of business? And what if all you had to do was to learn to ask the right questions?
And stop panicking.
Mm,
We all do it. We panic, and then everything's gone. Everything that is smart, logical, rational, reasonable goes straight out the window.
yeah.
But AI doesn't.
When I said, most people are using AI one of two ways. They're either treating it like Google, or they're treating it like an assistant to help them accomplish tasks like write better emails. And again, I give people who are doing this like double high five from me.
Oh, I do that too.
Yeah.
It's easier. I mean,
But
I write all the time, but I'll write something and send it over and say, "Can you tidy this up?" What
yeah.
comes back is really good. I use that.
And you get double high fives because you're using it. And guess what? It does bring value. But what if that was the 80% tasks that only drove 20% of the results? And what if all you had to do was just start focusing on the 20% priorities that would drive 80% of the results? And that's what it means to use AI as a thought partner with you as the thought leader.
And you talk about that in the book, streamlining and automating the 80%. That's page 215.
Yes, it
I've
is.
read this book. I've read
Yes,
it
you
three
have.
times.
So you want some crazy stories on my side? If
Absolutely.
I genuinely believe AI will enhance you, not replace you. If you recognize that every single one of you listening to this has unique strengths as a human, that if you can harness those strengths and focus them on the 20% priorities of your role that are in alignment with the goals of your company, if you use AI there, you turn those strengths into superpowers. I am a very strategic person. It is a strength of mine. Asking the right questions is a superpower of mine. The stories I'm about to tell you, might blow your mind because this is a reflection of who I am and putting it on steroids. January of this year, I had a huge epiphany, which was that we were scaling faster than I thought we would, and that our entire business model was going to break. Growth was going to break our whole business model. I went to my AI board. What is an AI board?
I was going to ask you, what is your and I'm guessing it's your AI board of advisors.
I, as a founder and a CEO, am deeply aware of how lonely it is at the top. So I have architected an actual board of advisors in AI where I went to AI and I wrote crit, literally. Context, I'm the CEO of this company, blah, 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 blah. These are my strengths and weaknesses. Here's our 10-year goals. Here's our business plan. I recognize it's lonely at the top. And, I really wish I could have a board of advisors that could advise me to hit my 10-year goals who are also deeply aware of my strengths and weaknesses. Your role is to act as an organizational psychologist with deep expertise in designing the best boards in the world that are custom architected to augment the strengths and weaknesses of the CEO to advise them to get to their 10-year vision. Interview me, ask me one question at a time, up to 5 questions to gain deeper context about my strengths and weaknesses. And your task is to give me a list of the top strengths and skills I would want to recruit for if I were to assemble a real AI board. Notice how I rattled that off so effortlessly.
I did.
It
And I
is
was trying to
because,
write it down and couldn't. I'm going to have to
yeah,
grab the transcript.
it's because crit is seared into my mind and then I just talk. That prompt kicked off a conversation that led to AI then telling me these are based on your strengths and weaknesses, your business plan, your 10-year vision for your company. These are the skills you might want to recruit to your board. You'd really benefit from having somebody who's really great around vision, product design, storytelling. You need somebody who's great when it comes to long-term planning and risk mitigation. You need somebody who's great with operational scalability. And also, part of your vision is being a family man with a business, not a businessman with a family. So you need to have somebody on your board that's going to take a stand for the personal side in your family, not just the business.
That makes sense.
Based
Okay,
on that, I
keep
had
going.
it Based on that, I had to conduct research of real famous business people that exemplified those skills. And then I built personality profiles so AI could simulate them. Steve Jobs is on my board for vision, product design, and storytelling, but I custom built him so that he is not allowed to give me advice on being a husband, a
Or
father,
a
or a leader.
family,
Yep.
right? Or even a friend. I mean, he was kind of an oddball.
Bingo. There are parts of him I would like to learn from, and there are parts of him I'm not interested in. So he's not allowed to talk to me about those things. Warren Buffett is on my board for long-term planning and risk mitigation. Jeff Bezos is on my board for operational scalability. My future self, 30 years in the future, is on my board. So the man I want to become advises me today.
Let's go deep into that. I mean, let's go deep into that because I've been fascinated all along, but now I'm sitting
Or
literally
you could
at
just
the
use
edge of my
AI like
seat.
Google, or you could just use AI like Google to write better, like Google to write better emails.
No, no, no. Keep going. Go deep. Go deep.
I went to my AI board and wrote crit and said, context, I'm realizing that we're scaling so much faster than I ever thought possible. And our entire business model is going to break this year. And I gave it lots of context. Roll, be the board. You decide who should be interviewing me. But I really want you to interview me to ask one question at a time, up to 5 questions to gain deeper context. Your task is to generate 100 alternative business models you think could better scale to hit our 10-year vision with less effort. Denise, there is no world that I, as a human, could have come up with 100 different business models.
No.
It took AI seconds. And without even going through all 100, I then said, great, now conduct another round of interviews. And then I want you to compress it to the top 10 ranked in order of priority and tell me why. Here's the kicker. I did this while I was driving
What?
because I had AI in voice mode and I was talking to my AI board.
Right. And I
And
don't know about you, I talk to myself out loud a lot.
oh yeah.
Because
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, we all do. Somebody hears us, we hear us, a cat hears us, God,
Yep.
spirits, we are heard. And if we're saying it out loud, this has always been my attitude anyway. If we're saying it out loud like you were doing, you're not thinking about, you're not looking at email, you're not crisscrossing highways and trying not to get run over. You're
Mm-hmm.
thinking and saying one thing at a time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So this was in voice mode, and I'll demo what that looks like in a little bit. The number one recommendation that it made, Denise, is now the backbone of our business model. And I got that because I went to my AI board.
How did you, I have so many questions. Okay, it's the number one out of all of the things that it provided you. How did you determine that that was number one?
Scalability.
Aha.
Um, I recognized impact is a core value for me, growth is a core value. Um, I genuinely want to create a new category of leader. Like by the time I leave this planet, I want people to remember me for changing our standards around leadership. Gone are the days where, as leaders, we tolerate a world where people spend most of their time in emails, meetings, and saying yes when people ask, "Have you got a minute?" Doing jobs that are not aligned with who they are deeply as humans. And at the end of the day, they're busy but question what they got done, and then they go and sacrifice their personal life. That's leadership. That's the old way of leadership that most of us know it as today. I want to create a world where we truly harness this technology to create better businesses and better lives. And you only do that when you recognize that every single person listening to this has God-given unique strengths that are different from anyone else, that if you can harness them and focus it like a laser on the 20% priorities of your role that are directly in alignment with the company goals and use AI to turn those strengths into superpowers, oh baby. That's what it means to be an AI driven leader. That's what we're building. So, in order for me to do that, I had to start playing a bigger game. I started to have to ask bigger questions of myself and, frankly, be willing to make a commitment to become somebody that I have not yet become so that I can raise the trajectory of not only my life, but the lives of leaders around the world.
And I was scribbling while you were talking. And you know what I wrote?
Hmm.
Imposter syndrome.
Heck yeah. Okay, you
I'm
ready for
going to
that?
go have a conversation with AI about imposter syndrome.
Well, you ready for this?
Yeah.
February 8th of 2024 was I had just resigned from Jindal. And that was the day that I said made a commitment to writing a book and building a company around AI and leadership. When I made that commitment, I felt 100% unqualified
Yep.
to make it.
Yeah, and I do it all the time. People say, Denise, you've got this wonderful podcast. You meet people from all over the world. You ought to teach it. And I instantly go into imposter syndrome.
Yep.
I can't teach that.
But
Turns out I can, but I didn't want to.
this is something I learned from a guy named Dan Sullivan.
Aha, I know who he is.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
read him all the time.
Yeah, 4 C's: commitment, courage, capability, confidence. You make a commitment to go to the next level when you're not even that person yet, which means you then have to summon the courage to work through the imposter syndrome to take action until you acquire enough capability to play at that level so that you then have confidence. I made that because this was a very specific question I asked myself because I was talking to a coach named Charlie Hone, one of the best business book coaches in the world. He was behind Tim Ferriss and a lot of big names. He ended up becoming my coach in me writing The AI Driven Leader. I asked him because he said the book has to drive the business. And I said, well, there's a problem. I don't know what the business is, and I don't even know what the book's about yet. And frankly, I don't feel qualified to do either, write the book or build the business yet. And I asked, do I take time to become qualified and then start writing the book? Or do I start writing the book and use it as a forcing mechanism to make me go so deep in research and application that I would emerge as a global thought leader?
I'm going to go with number two. What's behind door number two?
That's exactly what happened. And I started. Um, And I had to work through the fear. I had to work through the imposter syndrome, but it forced me to go so deep on research and so heavy on living this, eating, sleeping, breathing this, that by the time I was done writing the book, I was truly one of the top experts in the world on the intersection of AI, strategy, and leadership.
When did you find out that you were the top expert?
When people started telling me.
And that's what you want to do. That's why you're doing what you're doing. And you said it. You want to create a different, stronger kind of leadership that you can leave behind.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That's impressive.
Here, let's do something fun.
Okay.
I'm pulling out my AI board right now. So I'm opening it up, and if you use ChatGPT, this is literally in ChatGPT, by the way. In the bottom right-hand corner, there's a little, at least the user interface right now, there's a little black circle. That's voice mode. Here, let's have fun. I'm pressing it. I'm waiting for it to open. My Wi-Fi signal here is not that strong right. All right, I want you to you decide who on the board that we should engage. I want you to imagine that my contract as CEO of AI Leadership is up, and you're assembling the board to review my performance. I want you to pull every single conversation we've ever had, every data point I've ever given you about me. And I want you to go ahead and conduct a review of me. I want you to tell me what are my top strengths as a CEO? What are my top weaknesses that I'm unaware of? I'm aware of my weaknesses on the surface level, but this is where I want you to go deeper on pattern recognition and tell me what are the things I don't see that I really should see, that if I don't fix those things in the next 90 to 180 days could stop me from being qualified to take us to the next level. And then I want you to give me a recommendation on if you'd give me a raise, if you'd keep my comp as is, if you'd put me on a PIP, or if you'd fire me, and why you'd make that assessment. Let's go.
I'm
All
waiting.
right, Geoff. Let's dive into this as your AI board conductor. I'll start with a big picture question to set the stage. Then I'll give you the top 20% insight on your strengths, blind spots, and the tough calls on your performance review. So let me begin with a Socratic angle. If you imagine your future self, the one who's already built this 10,000 member AI driven leadership collective, what's the one thing he would tell you right now about how to level up as a CEO? Once you reflect on that, I'll share the distilled strengths I see, like your world class.
There you go.
Okay. I don't even want to talk to you anymore. I want to go play with chat, with Uncle Chat. I can't wait. I mean, I didn't know. I mean, I have played a little bit with the recorder, but I haven't gone way deep into it the way you're advising me to do it. And guess what? I will be. Well, listen, the weekend's coming. I don't think I'll be reading. I think I'll be talking with Uncle Chat. Yes. And I'll probably send you an email. Go, look what I found.
So let me, we've hit a lot, and if you're listening to this, hopefully your brain is swirling and your mind feels like it's been exploded a little bit. Let me make it real simple. You are going to learn to use AI. Full stop. It's like using the internet. You will learn to use AI. Those that learn how to use it strategically now have an opportunity to build a lead. It does not guarantee you an advantage because most of AI is going to be a source of competitive parity, not an actual strategic competitive advantage. But using this how to discover who you are and enhance who you can become, that's the competitive advantage. Here's how you start. Get 2 sticky notes and a Sharpie. I'm dead serious, by the way. On sticky note number 1.
I have a pink one
and
and
by
a
the
green
way,
one.
not a single thing I say, I don't live myself. Practice what we teach is a core value of our company. I have these sticky notes on my desk. Sticky note number 1, right? How can AI help me do this? Sticky note number 2, context, role, interview, task. Put those 2 sticky notes on your computer, on your monitor, on your desk, where they are front facing every single day. Here's why. It's tough to read the label when you're inside the box. Every day you're in the box, doing your work the way you've always done it. using your human processing power, in trying to recall the minority of what you've learned, which is the minority of the information of the world, to make faster, smarter decisions. When you see that first sticky note and you think, how can AI help me review my financial statements? Which is exactly what happened to me. And then you go, well, what would that prompt even look like? And then you see context, role, interview, task. And then you open up ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or Copilot or Perplexity or Grok or Llama. Doesn't matter which one. The tool doesn't make the difference. The person who wields it does. And you write context. Here's my financial statements. Drag, drop, roll. Your role is to act as a strategic CFO who's really good at telling me as a CEO the top 5 things I don't know about my business based on the financials that I should know about my business. Interview me. Ask me one question at a time, up to 5 questions to gain deeper context about our performance. Task. Tell me what those top 5 things are. That is a real prompt that I wrote because I was reviewing my financials and saw the sticky notes on my desk. It is so powerful that I now have an AI CFO who reviews my financials every month. I still have a human finance team, but we augment our thinking and enhance our thinking with AI. Ready for a crazy one? I challenged my executive assistant last week to come up to harness AI to cast a vision for what her role would look like in her job description if she were bringing 10x to 100x more impact to the business. Not only did she write that prompt using Crit and come up with a new job description for herself with KPIs and a scorecard, she turned around and made me do the prompt for myself. And based on that, today, she then said, great, here's how I used AI to review your calendar and then to come up with a new model for your time if we were to align with the 100x vision of yourself. And because I know you're your greatest enemy, here's the prompt I've architected that if any time you want to violate one of the rules that you just said you'd have to adhere to 100x yourself, here's the prompt you're going to have to execute to defend breaking your own rules. And she literally made me defend breaking a rule today because I wanted to say yes to a speaking opportunity that I was questioning if I should say yes to. And AI pressure tested me for 10 minutes on whether or not I should say yes to that speaking opportunity.
What was the result?
It actually said I should do it.
Okay.
But it did say I should do it, but boy, did it make me think. Boy, did it make me think.
Yeah, but when you go into that opportunity, that stage, all of this is going to be in back of you and in front of you. Got it.
By the way,
now you're scaring me to death. I got to tell you, I'm so excited. This is exciting.
This is all from 2 sticky notes.
I have them. I just stuck them up on my board.
And here's the thing. We haven't even talked about how do you weave this into your operations or workflows to drive efficiency. We haven't even talked about how you weave this into a product or service offering to open new value for customers. This is literally how you get people in your company to just start using AI as a thought partner. And look at the disruptive value that we are talking about here just from that.
Listen, I told you in the green room, I kind of warned you that this hour was not going to be enough time. Would you come back in the new year?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, because I'm booked through the new year, which is the only reason I mention it, but you've got to come back. We can't just stop here.
Thank you.
Okay, so what do you want to talk about next, Geoff?
I want to talk about what stands out to you.
Oh,
you've read the book, but hearing me talk about this, what are the things that are present for you now that if you were talking to somebody later and they said, what really stood out to you from that conversation, what would it be?
Honestly, the consequences of asking the wrong questions.
Mm-hmm.
And that's on page 109.
Yes. Yes. Tell me more.
Well, so many people don't know how to ask questions. And I think I ask pretty good questions because I listen very carefully. I listen, not just with my ears, but I'm listening from an empath and I'm listening. I listen and I turn things over to my subconscious for review, going back to how many books do we know? How many, books have we read? My subconscious knows everything I ever knew, and I have to tap into it a lot. But I'm listening to myself, I'm listening to you, I'm listening, listening, listening. And I find that I ask pretty good questions, but you know what I also find? They're not great questions,
Mm,
and they don't go deep enough, and they don't challenge me.
mm,
I
mm.
need to be challenged. I don't like it, but I need to be challenged.
Well, here's what's interesting, and this is kind of a hidden benefit of AI, is when a human challenges you, our ego can get in the way
Oh, yeah.
and we can resist it. We can fight for limitations rather than expanding what's possible. When AI asks you challenging questions, it's interesting because it still feels private. And I have found through personal experience as well as just anecdotally from leaders telling me this, they're far more willing. Like the ego, it cuts past the ego, and it really does allow you to self discover and reflect on a deeper level. It's tremendously powerful.
Well, it is. And because, your Aunt Josephine isn't asking you the question and you're instinctively looking for the bias behind the question, you're going to take it more seriously.
Yeah, yeah. You asked what I wanted to talk about next.
Yeah,
I think we should kind of give people, because these are leaders who listen to this. I think we should kind of give them a roadmap of how you actually drive it in the company.
go.
Yeah. Recognize that big changes start with small actions. Um, I actually don't advise going and training everybody to use AI. And the reason for that is if you study adoption curves, you have half of your org that's on the innovator, early adopter, early majority side, but you got half your org that's on the late majority, the laggard side. You get one first impression with this. And if you look at your workforce, you could really draw a line down the middle. A lot of people are optimistic about this, and a lot of people are scared. They think it's going to take their job.
We
And
hear that a lot.
yeah,
Yeah.
I I actually don't think the technology is what's going to determine whether they lose their job or not. I think it's their mindset. If you study history, you will recognize in every technological disruption, tech just made certain skills less valuable and certain processes less valuable. And that's all a job is, the skills you apply and the processes you follow. Like you could literally write it down as a formula: job equals skills applied times processes followed. There are people that are already seeing this as an opportunity to level up their skills and to level up their processes. Those people are going to have jobs. Then there are people that are going to cling to the way things used to be, that will say, well, this is the way I've always done it. I'm not interested in changing. They may not say that verbally, they'll vote with their actions. They're not bad people. They need leadership. And before you go to them, you yourself have to become an AI driven leader. So for me, like my recommendation, start with you. And once you've gotten like just having those sticky notes and writing crit once a day, every day, and like learned how to actually interact with it, go to an initial cohort of people that are your innovators that are going to be willing and excited to pilot this with you. And as you work kinks out, you gradually start to expand this. And by the time you're getting to the people who face fear or anxiety, it's about sitting down with them and really educating them. What is your job? Your job is the skills you apply and the processes that you follow. Like you will use AI in your career. And you're in a company that wants you to use this and doesn't see this as cheating, doesn't see this as a devaluation of your creativity, sees it as an enhancement. Let me show you what's a problem you're facing in your role right now that if we could solve it would bring real value for you in the company. And then write crit with them and have AI interview them and accomplish a task with them and have them have this light bulb moment where they feel how this can become an enhancement. And then set the standard. Once a day, every day, I want you to write crit. And then just start talking about it in a weekly team meeting. We do this in our team, and this is what I encourage all execs to do. Like make this a standing agenda item on your meeting. Like, and if your meeting's already full, great. Find one thing that's less valuable and kill it. I'm not saying add more time. I'm saying cut something that's less valuable and reprioritize this. And every week, everyone has to show up with an answer to where did you have a win with AI last week? Where did you have a failure with AI last week? Or where do you need help when it comes to using AI this week? And they only have to bring one, a success, a failure, or a place they need help. That way you normalize that we fail our way to success and that we're going to experiment, we're going to break things, and you make it this collaboration. You start there, you will unlock a flywheel of innovation. Then this is when you have to recognize if you do not have, or let's step back. If you think the way that you win with AI is by knowing everything about AI, I guarantee you will lose.
We're never going to know because it grows every day. It changes every
Bingo.
day. Look at
Bingo.
Grok. I mean, I
Bingo.
was playing around with, making images with Grok, and I got sucked down that rabbit hole for a couple of hours. It's amazing. It
Bingo.
wasn't that way a week ago.
Anytime you're hitting a ceiling of achievement, you are just missing a person.
I got
My
that.
greatest recommendation is that you do not ask how, you ask who. Who can we get into relationship with that has true capability on driving this in throughout an organization in a way that moves the needle on the P&L and the enterprise value and the multiple, and get into relationship with them. Those that do that are going to absolutely run away with it, and I'm seeing it happen already.
And I was going to ask you, how leaders could build psychological safety and trust when introducing AI tools to their teams, but I think you just explained that.
Yeah, leaders talk about how they're using it. That's the greatest permission, because a lot of people think that AI is cheating, and they fear that if their boss finds out they're using AI, that the boss will think they're less valuable, without realizing the boss will actually think you're more valuable. And I know this from a fact, because we have built the largest network of C-level leaders who are driving this in their companies, and we are their advisors. We guide them. We know how they're using this. I will tell you, the top wants you to use this. The top wants you to figure out how you can let go and stop doing all the 80% stuff that really doesn't matter, and how you can focus on the 20% and do it with 10x or 100x capabilities. And I know that may sound fairy tale to you, but think about the use cases I shared here. Is that normal? No way.
No. And
No
it goes
way.
back in my brain to imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
It's just easy to fall into that 80% and just go do it because that's the way you've
No.
always done it. By the way, anytime I hear somebody say, well, we've always done it this way, I roll my eyes so hard I almost faint. It's just, you need to stop
Real
doing that.
real use case. There's a guy I've been mentoring for over a decade. Um, he is a sales rep, individual contributor role, not in management at all. And he was reading my book and he's like, man, like I feel like my company's just not adopting this. And I said, Omid, make this your opportunity. He said, what are you talking about? I said, get your sticky notes out, and once a day, every day for the next 30 days, I want you to write crit on a 20% priority that matters, and learn how to communicate with AI on the 20% that drives 80% of the results, so that you can be a real thought leader with AI as your thought partner. Do that for 30 days. Then I want you to use AI to interview you about the best, most disruptive use cases you've had, and to have it compile that into an executive briefing that you will go bring to your senior leadership. And he's like, but they won't listen to me. I'm just a rep. I'm like, are you kidding me? They're
Yeah.
twiddling their thumbs trying to figure out how to use AI in the company. They're all asking, how do we use AI for sales? Go show them that you've been using it. Watch, they're going to put you in charge of AI for the sales team.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, no way. I'm like, do it. He
Why
did
was he
it.
so negative, I wonder?
Yeah. Well, because this is normal. We look at our job title and say, well, I'm not the boss. They're not going to listen to
Oh,
me, without recognizing that senior leadership is always looking for talent that can play at a different level. And don't wait to be seen. Show up in such a compelling way that they can't help but see you. They put him in charge of AI for the sales division.
well, good for him. Good for you.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you, and I say this from experience, if I rewind to February 8th of 2024, which we're in August of 25 at the time of this recording, we're literally talking about a year and a half. A year and a half ago, I felt like an imposter. All the use cases I'm sharing here, I didn't know that stuff. I didn't know crit back then. While it sounds impressive that I worked with Google and like drove that market cap, I knew nothing compared to what I know now. But I made a commitment to use it daily and to fight through the fear. And now, like, I pinch myself that some of the largest companies in the world are calling us to say, help us drive this in a way that moves our stock price. And the truth is, we know how to do it. But most of that capability we acquired in the last year and a half. Whatever you think is possible for you a year from now, what if you were thinking too small? What if you were artificially putting a ceiling over yourself and the only person that could remove the lid is you? What if this was the skill that if you could master it, it would serve you no matter where you go? Now get your sticky notes out and get to work.
And I was going to ask you, Geoff, where you see the future of AI-driven leadership heading in the next few years. I don't need to ask it now. You just explained it. So what advice do you have for leaders seeking to stay ahead with AI and maintain focus on what matters most for their business and get out of their own darn way?
Recognize that this is not something you can afford to delegate to your tech team or to a consultant from the outside.
Where should they start? Let's say people are listening to us right now and they're leaders, in their own companies. They've been leading for a long time.
Yeah.
They feel kind of stuck and don't know why they feel stuck. Where
Two
do they
sticky
go to
notes.
chat? Two sticky notes. I
Two
knew
sticky
it.
notes. I already gave it to you. Like, don't let the simplicity undermine the significance. Those two sticky notes, if you do it once a day, every day for the next 30 days, will change your life.
I'm
Then,
starting it today.
yeah.
You're going to get emails from me going, woohoo.
Yeah, and
Wait
you
for
should.
them.
I want to hear it. Start with the sticky notes and then imagine what would the impact in your business look like if you and everybody on your team was using AI the way that I'm describing here? What would that do to revenue? What would that do to profit? What would that do to your competitive advantage? And then ask, how do you get started? I have been very humbled by most people never write a review on LinkedIn about a book that they read. Denise, I was touched that you wrote one. I see at least 5 a day from people I don't know because the book is just helping them that much, because it is filled with prompts that are all strategic in nature, all for leaders, and they're buying it for their whole leadership team and they're just reading it together. So I think if you really want to make an impact, get the sticky notes on your desk, get them on the desks of some of your key people, read the book together. I
Start
can't
a
think of
book
a better
club.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can't think of a better way for you to start. And I would love if it's okay to ask for help. I really meant it when I say I want to create a new category of leader. It would mean the world to me if, for you who's listening to this, if you did what Denise did, where you went, whether it's listening to this episode or going through the book, don't keep it to yourself. Please share it. Tell a story on LinkedIn or wherever your platform is of choice of how you are using this, because I promise you, the people that care enough to follow you, they are scared and they are trying to figure this out. I want to turn the people who follow us into the thought leaders. I want you to be the thought leader that's going out and shaping in your network how we harness this to have better businesses and better lives.
I'm all in. Talk to us about the AI-driven leader podcast.
Yeah.
And you've got the AI Leadership Collective, and I want you to share that as well.
Sure. So the podcast, we are launching it coming up this coming quarter. We've got a trailer episode up right now. I want to share real stories of real leaders who are doing this. And so season 1, I have been interviewing leaders who have been on the journey about what does it look like to drive this. And these are all CEOs, by the way, and of some large companies, mid-market to enterprise, in terms of what does it look like to drive this from the top. None of them are technical. And a lot of them were like, hey, we talked to you, and I walked into my executive meeting and said, we're going to be an AI-driven company. And one guy said, one of my team members asked, well, what does that mean? And I said, I don't know, but I'm going to figure it out, and we're going to do it. But that's where these people are starting to, when you listen to them talk, how they're actually using this in a strategic way that's moving the needle with their business. And then we're doing episodes where we actually turn the tables and I ask them, what's the biggest problem you're facing right now? That if we could just solve it, it would unlock a new level of growth. And I actually write crit and solve their problem. And we're putting it up on the podcast so you can see what this really looks like.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, that's what the AI-Driven Leader podcast is going to be about. And the collective, I recognize that I never wanted to be the guy with all the answers. I wanted to always be surrounded by the smartest people, and that we could ask them the right questions to unlock collective knowledge. Because if we can centralize the knowledge of how all these leaders are driving this in their company and then give all that knowledge back to everyone, we would have a competitive advantage that would just be unstoppable. And so the collective is an executive network for C-level execs. You got to be C-level. Companies got to be over 10 million in revenue. You do not have to be technical at all, but you have to be committed enough to say, I need to know enough to drive vision, strategy, and leadership. And we put you into cohorts of about 100 to 120 other C-level execs where we centralize our knowledge on how we are driving this in the company. And we guide you so that you actually use this in a way that moves the financial results of your organization together.
Excellent. Geoff, we are running out of time, and that makes me sad. It really does, because this is a fascinating conversation. I've taken so many notes, and I've got the 2 sticky notes up there on my board, and I will be diving into that today, tomorrow, the weekend, and every day. I'll train myself to do that every day. But I really need for you to come back. But tell us, is there anything that you've got going on other than the podcast, or anything that you want our audience to know about and to go find?
The collective has been the core of the business. I do have a very talented team that does workshops for exec teams. So if you want to get the training for them, for very specific companies, we do advisory work where we actually partner with you to raise the enterprise value of your company with this. You can learn about everything we do, aileadership.com.
And the book, I know it's on Amazon.
Amazon, Audible, Kindle. Again, if you go to aileadership.com, everything's there.
Oh, you're on Audible? I did not know that.
Oh, yeah. And it's me.
Ooh. And I have a credit. So guess
there we go.
I don't listen to fiction on Audible ever. And I don't want anything to do with romance. Apparently, I don't have a romantic bone in my body, but I listen to business, and I'll fall asleep. And then I'll wake up when something important just pops up. And I'm like, ooh, and I'll wake up and, grab it, back it up a bit. I don't sleep much anyway. So it's, it's not disrupting me, but I'm getting that book today. So thank you. Well, listen, everybody. Geoff Woods joined us today to highlight that effective AI-powered leadership focuses on putting strategy and people. Listen, putting strategy and people first while partnering with AI thoughtfully. And by embracing IA with care and ethics, leaders can help build stronger organizations and create positive change. So to explore how AI can support your leadership journey, connect with Geoff. You can find him at his website. You can find him on LinkedIn. Grab the book. This book is important. It belongs in my opinion, it belongs in your entrepreneurial library, and you'll discover ways to unlock its full potential for your team and your organization. Geoff, thank you so much, and I'm looking forward to having you come back soon.
Thank you, Denise. It was a pleasure.
Oh, my pleasure. Listen, everybody, this is your Partner in Success Radio. I'm Denise Griffitts. Thank you for listening, and I will see you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Get your voice heard. If you would like to launch your own far-reaching podcast, contact Denise Griffitts at yourofficeontheweb.com and go to the podcast tab.